Carnivorous plants are the plants that traps and digest the living organisms like insects and other arthropods in order to supplement their food provided by other means. These plants have enjoyed two periods of weird popularity. First, the Victorian age and the second in 1970s. The cultivation is generally straightforward and they require less attention. For example, we need not have to have a check on how much fertilizer to be applied. Carnivorous plants are found throughout the world and in many different habitats. Carnivorous plants have adopted to grow in places where the soil is thin or poor in nutrients, especially nitrogen, such as acidic bogs. The nitrogen helps to increase leaf growth and to improve or make possible both flowering and the seed production. There are more than 450 different species of carnivorous plants found in the world. At least some occur on every continent except Antarctica. They are especially numerous in Northern America, Southern Asia, and Australia. Carnivorous plants typically live in wet habitats that are open and sunny, with nutrient-poor soils having an acidic pH. They do not like competition from other plants and thus seem to thrive in the nutrient-poor habitats where other types of plants do not grow very well. Some are too aquatics, growing in the quiet waters of ponds and ditches around the world. Still other grows on wet, seeping rocky cliffs or moist sand. In many cases, they grow in places that have periodic fires that act to cut down on competition, keep their habitats open, and release nutrients into the soil. There are two types of traps, one being active and the other passive. Active traps employ movement in the process of trapping and digesting their prey. Dionaea being the best example. Passive trap such as Sarracenia utilize no movement either in trapping or during digestion. They simply expect the prey to move towards the plant and become trapped by falling into a pit or being stuck with a glue substance. The carnivorous plants can also be distinguished by their form. The first one being pitfall traps or monkey cup traps. Prey in a rolled leaf that contains a pool of digestive enzymes or bacteria. All pitcher plants need maximum light to develop their color. Growing pitcher plants is easy. Pitcher plants usually shape and carnivorous habitat are the results of the nutrient deficiencies in their native soil. The regions where they grow are nitrogen deprived, so the plant catches insects to harvest their nitrogen. They do not need rich organic soil but do need a medium that drains well. Potted pitcher plants need to be in well-drained soils. Any type of pot can be used for indoor plants and provide them with low fertility mixture in which the plants will grow. For instance, the potted pitcher plant thrives in a mixture of peat moss, bark and vermiculite. The pot can be small and they can even do well in a terrarium. Outdoor specimens live in slightly acidic soils. Pitcher plants must be kept wet and can even grow in water gardens. The plants need boggy, moist soil and will perform well at the margins of a pond or bog garden. Pitcher plants thrive in full sun to light shade. The second one being the flypaper traps, known as fly ribbons, is a fly killing device made of paper coated with a sweetly fragrant but extremely sticky and sometimes poisonous substances that traps flies and other flying insects when they land upon it. The poisons used in some older type of flypaper could potentially be toxic to humans and other animals. It can be distinguished between active and passive flypaper traps. The active flypaper traps are able to a movement of their tentacles and of the whole leaf. By contrast, the passive flypaper traps are unable to this movement. In the case of passive flypaper traps, the movement extent is distinct less. The tentacles are immovable. It simply takes place movements of leaf. The third being the snap traps utilize rapid leaf movements. Only two plants have evolved into snap traps. The first is the Venus flytrap, also known as Dionaea muscipula, and is found only in the coastal bogs and swamps of North and South California, USA. The second one, believed to be its close descendant, is the waterwheel plant, Aldrovanda vesiculosa. The plant requires lot of sunlight, shadow water, and only insect feed. This can be grown as an indoor plant. Water is also important, particularly in summer when the pot gets dried quickly. The fourth being the bladder traps. Suck in prey with a bladder that generates an internal vacuum. Bladderwort plants are rootless, aquatic carnivorous plants, usually found in shadow ponds, lakes, ditches, marshes, and slow-moving streams and rivers. Bladderworts are rootless plants with long leafless stem that extend prominently above the water. Through the summer, the stems are topped by bright yellow or purple flowers. The plants need at least 4 hours of bright sunlight and prefer another 4 hours of indirect or filtered light every day. Plant bladderwort in 1 part fertile and 1 part peat and no potting soil. The fifth one being the lobster pot traps, also known as eel traps, force prey to move towards a digestive organ with inward pointing hairs. These plants appear to specialize in aquatic protozoa. Lobster pot traps are similar to pitfall traps in that the trap itself is a chamber of death from which the prey cannot escape. However, there is a key difference between the two strategies. In a pitfall trap, the creature merely has to venture past the edge of the pitcher mouth. The sheer walls ensures that once the momentary criterion is fulfilled, the prey trembles under the force of gravity to its death. Meanwhile, in a lobster pot, the trapping process is longer because instead of using gravity, the prey is ushered to its doom by its own power. In effect, the prey knowingly walks into the death trap. Carnivorous plants can be grown in garden-like container, pond, bog garden. Things that we need to keep in mind for growing these plants are wet all of the time, mineral free water, mineral free soil, lots of light. So, what do we feed the plants? The plants doesn't require any feed or fertilizer. This is grown under the condition outlined in the flyer, where the plants will be able to collect enough insects on their own to do well. Most carnivorous plants only need an insect or two a month in order to flourish. Most carnivorous plants will do fine in normal room temperature. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share and subscribe our channel.